Brainrot. It's ruining Gen Alpha. Over the past few years, I've started to become aware of what type of content Gen Alpha is consuming, and I don't think I'm the only one. I think you have too. And it's just complete garbage. I mean, take a look at this. I can't let anybody know that I really like this stuff. You know, you have certain things seemingly blowing up out of nowhere. A perfect example of this would be Skibbity Toilet. I would go as far as to say it's other things like Family Guy clips or even Subway Surfers gameplay. I'm definitely going to touch on that later in the video though. I'm sorry for continuously yapping on, so without further ado, let's just get right into it. The first thing we're going to be talking about is the vocabulary that Gen Alpha is using. See, but you may be asking yourself what the difference between Gen Alpha and Gen Z vocabulary is. Well, I think it's important that we clear that up. The vocabulary that you often see Gen Z use on social media, typically in comment sections, is I guess what many people would call edgy. Bro, I hate using that word because it makes me sound like a leafy Let's Player playing Surf. What's up, guys? Today we're gonna be playing, like, nah, bruh. Something you can expect when looking at Gen Z comment section is an insane amount of skull emojis and crying face emojis, and even the little prayer emojis too. I swear, if you use any of those, that's just a cheat code to instantly get like 10,000 likes on a comment. Seriously, I think there's more emojis in the comment sections than there are comments. Yo, wait, nah, that made so much more sense on script, but now that I'm saying it out loud, it doesn't really. No. Another thing that you can look forward to when scrolling through Gen Z comment sections, typically on TikTok or Instagram Reels, is really creative insults that make you go, wow, this is a really intelligent insult. How did such a young person come up with it? Well, that's probably because they haven't. Chances are you've seen these insults before. They were just copy and pasted from someone else's comment over and over and over again. That being said, stolen or not, some of these are so stupid. Like, sometimes there's gonna be a post of someone asking for advice and they just get flamed in the comments. But see, that's about as far as it goes for Gen Z. Sure, here and there you do definitely have some weirdos in the comment sections, but for the most part, it is pretty tame. But when you finally muster up the courage to look at the types of things that Gen Alpha is commenting, it's, well, the comments themselves are brain rot. A lot of the time, it's filled with kids pretending they know a lot more about something than they actually do, or just straight up pointing out the obvious. For example, on this SpongeBob AI channel, which I'm pretty sure a lot of you have at least heard of, they had an official brain rot test. And all of the comments are just statements. Nah, man, these SpongeBob AI voiceovers are bad. Plus, Minecraft obby gameplay is the real brain rot. The only reason I know this is because my entire class is brain rotted. But then you have my favorite comment of all, just admitting defeat. Yeah, I'm cooked. Now, when scrolling through Gen Alpha comment sections, you may be noticing a pattern of words that are used here, such as Riz, Skibbity, Sigma, Gyat, and other things of that nature. They may not be in today's, Merriam-Webster thesauruses and dictionaries. The reason I am mentioning this is because, honestly, I don't think that any of these kids have any idea what they're even saying in these comment sections. A term I do see getting thrown around so much more than it should is edge. Now, for those of you who have more than a 25% fully developed brain and know the full meaning of this, I don't think it's any surprise that I'm obviously going to be very, very careful when covering this, and I'm going to be tiptoeing around it. So I'm going to avoid going in depth about it because, just because, yeah. But this is a term that is said so much along with other things like gyat. So I go and look at the definition of gyat, and I'm greeted with this sentence. Oh lord, there's so many different definitions.
A word that's used by most losers on social media, mostly TikTok and Twitch. Your homie's voluptuously large cheek.
Yeah, that's enough of that. I think that gives you a general idea. The vocabulary that they are using is absolutely ridiculous. But where exactly do they learn these terms? Because it's definitely not their parents. So, well, yeah, just roll the next segment. content. The content that Gen Alpha is watching is absolutely abysmal. You have things like Skibbity Toilet, Subway Surfers clips. You always need jingling keys in front of them in order to keep an attention span. Now, I have ADHD. Who doesn't? So my attention span isn't the best, and I will admit that I do sometimes need a little bit of stimulation to focus on something. But for me, watching Gen Alpha content, even that's way too overstimulating sometimes. In fact, sometimes I end up watching it and it almost gives me a headache just because it's just way too much. I will admit though, sometimes I do watch some videos and I end up catching myself getting sucked into the rabbit hole, and I do understand how that can be so impressionable on a young kid's mind. But don't take it from me. Take it from somebody who literally watched so much brain rot, their IQ dropped.
Brain rot. Now, I watched a lot of brain rot. I would always have to watch it as I was scrolling through for video ideas, and I'd say it's had a pretty big effect on my brain. Whenever I've had to watch brain rot for a video, just scrolling through YouTube shorts, it just felt like I was in a whole nother dimension. Like I wasn't even on planet Earth anymore. I was sipping on that YouTube shorts because that's really what it felt like. In my said video that I made, I did a test where I would do the IQ test before I watched the brain rot and after. And the results were, 129 to 107. Now, I don't know how legitimate IQ tests online are, but that is a pretty significant difference. And I broke it into certain categories when I watched the brain rot. It was just Jack Doherty, Lanky Box, Sniper Wolf, just shitty Minecraft animations, Roblox story times with the Subway Surfers gameplay. And I was consumed by the rot for 4 hours. Like, my brain literally hurt after consuming all that. Now, I know Gen Z grew up with brain rot too, like Annoying Orange, MLG, but I don't know, Gen Alpha's got it worse. Like, obviously, there's some good people that do YouTube shorts out there. This wasn't a typical YouTube short that I watched. These were all just rot. Oh, and how could I forget, I watched Skibbity Toilet too. That one probably was the worst that I've watched. Especially like the first 20 or so episodes were horrible, where they just sung the same song over and over and over again until I started going crazy and insane and had to be booked into a mental hospital. Okay, it wasn't that bad. But after what I've all watched, I was dead. Now, it's a very specific type of short or TikTok or reel that is brain rot. Not everyone that does that type of content is inherently brain rot. But you're probably all wondering, how will you know? How do you know if you come across a brain rot video? You'll no longer hear coherent sentences. You'll no longer hear a person. You'll just hear random sounds and sound effects like yeah, it's just ass. But yeah, don't watch that content or else you won't even be able to read, you won't be able to write, listen, behave in school. You'll just be saying, iPad, need iPad.
Beautifully said. I couldn't have said it better myself. Now, all that being said, I'm not necessarily saying that the brain rot that me and the duck watched when we were younger was any bit better, because it wasn't. But I think we did significantly watch a lesser amount of it. And now, when I was younger, I was particularly angry that I wasn't able to spend as much time on the internet as, for example, some of my friends were. But now that I'm older, I'm so thankful my parents put restricted access for me, because I was raised by parents who actually cared and didn't, parent me by just giving me an iPad. Because even when I did go on the internet, I didn't really like what I would see a lot of the time. It's just filled with weirdos, more weirdos, and more weirdos. But now that we've looked at a lot of this, what did we gather? What have we concluded with? In conclusion, brain rot is awful. It's not good for anybody. It's fast, digestible garbage, poison for your brain. But at the same time, I'm able to realize that the brain rot that I grew up with was absolutely just as bad. It wasn't any better. I'm not any better than any of these kids watching brain rot. Hell, I watch those chicken nugget shorts all the time. I unironically find those entertaining. Anyways, with all that being said, thank you guys so much for watching the video. Go check out my good friend, the duck. He's awesome. Check out one of my older videos about TikTok. Thank you so much for watching, and to all of my lovely subscribers.